Senza Cologne by Acqua di Parma. Sometimes I use these travel sprays before I commit to a full bottle. This is a great, fresh, neroli fragrance. Highly recommended. Let's go for a ride. I don't have any idea what I want to talk about today. Well, I'm sorry. I could talk about the motorcycle that I have not talked about much previously, the one that I wrecked. I thought that it deserved its own episode. I've got a lot of other interesting topics I want to chat about. Again, this is how I do life, man. I like to reflect on stuff, and when I go for walks in the morning, I talk out loud to myself. I don't care. Commit me. I don't care. I talk back to. It's a spiritual thing. It really is. To be self-aware and to explore your own thoughts and to explore yourself and who you are and your values and to live those values authentically and to be open and curious to do things that may cause you to be stronger and stronger for yourself and stronger for others. That's what I'm all about. I don't remember many birthdays in my life. I really don't. I love them. The kids get around the table, they sing to me, we have candles and cake and ice cream, and I'll open a card and check for money and find that there is no money. I'm kidding. Open gifts. I don't oppose birthday parties. It's just that I never looked for anything big, and I'd love to celebrate others' parties, but never was crazy about celebrating mine. But honestly, it's great. It's fun. I'm just a little bit shy, and it feels weird when you're at the center of attention. But I do remember for sure 30 years ago, almost 31, when I spent my 19th birthday in the hospital because the previous day I was in a really nasty motorcycle wreck. And that was the result of being a wild child. I was wild, lost. I was immature. I was impulsive. I was volatile. I was reckless, and all that culminated in a bike wreck, which was really the symbol of my life at that time. Out of control, going too fast. I remember my brother used to say, other people too, summer of '95 was a wild one. They used to say to me, Joshua, you gotta slow down, man. Slow down. Never mind too fast. Interestingly, the hit song that year, maybe you guys remember this, you old middle-aged Gen Xers, TLC, Waterfalls. I think you're moving too fast, was one of the lyrics in that song, I believe. I graduated high school in '94. To be honest, that was a wild summer too. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I drank alcohol a lot, and I would take it too far. A lot of my friends drank and quote unquote partied, but I would always be the one that should have, but didn't stop after a couple. So, summer of '94 and the summer of '95 were really the standout years, if you're looking for that in my life. After that, I'll talk about the recovery process, but let's just say that beer and bikes do not mix. You should not be drinking and driving any vehicle, much less a two-wheeler that you have to balance, and you don't have a cage to protect you if you do get in a wreck. So, on the eve of my 19th birthday, I was out partying with some friends, and I took a passenger for a 2 in the morning motorcycle ride. I should not have been on any motorized vehicle. Once again, it was a very short ride. It was a very familiar ride. I was in my old neighborhood, and I mean very familiar. The accident place was, I mean, just 20 yards from my dad's house, my dad and my grandma's, where I stayed. I had gone around the block. Maybe one day I'll do a video and show you that route. I don't mind. I took this passenger around the block, and I must have tried to, you know, open it up and go through gears. I do remember going fast down that road, and that road tees. That tees right at, and where the T is where I live. So I must have blacked out or something, or I just was going too fast, and my reaction time was not what I thought it was. And I went through the stop sign, through the T in the road, and now I'm in my neighbor's front yard, barreling toward their house, the structure of their house, which I bounced off of. And my brother was awake in the morning. He was awake at 2 a.m. He should not have been, but he was, and I'm glad he was, because he heard it. He heard the collision. He called the first responders, and you know, the rest is history. It was a 1994 Honda CBR 600 F2. Very fast, and I guess I was trying to impress this person on the back of my motorcycle. I let a lot of people down, and I let a lot of people down. I was very injured. I had to have reconstructive surgery on my right hand. They weren't sure if I was going to keep it. My left eye was damaged really badly, and they weren't sure if I was going to lose sight of my left eye. My lip was torn open, and I had a ruptured spleen, a collapsed lung, broken ribs. Typical for a motorcycle accident with no helmet. I think I was wearing shorts and a tank top that night, seriously. My passenger, also not wearing any gear, she had a bad head injury, and she was in the hospital longer than I was. They had to wire her jaw shut. It's so, I hate talking about all that. I'll tell you why here in a minute. It's really a story of tragedy and trauma, but also transformation. I did not know this girl. I had no idea who she was. I met her seconds before she hopped on my bike. Typical party stuff. Girls show up, you know, guys try to show off, and then something stupid happens because of the dumb guy at the party. Outdumbing everybody. Well, I think I outdumbed everybody. And you know, frankly, I almost killed this girl. I almost lost my own life. And I remember that despite my injuries, which were severe, and hers, which were probably more severe, I was more concerned with her and her well-being. I didn't even care. Whatever. If I lose an eye, lose an eye, lose a hand, lose a hand. I can't stand it that I hurt this girl. I did this to her. I put her through this. And who is she? What was I doing? My parents are so disappointed in me. My friends probably are like, told you so, told you so. Slow down, Josh. Should have slowed down. I didn't listen. So the aftermath was, you know, was nasty too. It was a rock bottom point in my life, and there were other things going on, you know, self-esteem issues, some family issues, relationship issues. I had no business, you know, being in a relationship or being a close friend to anybody. If you needed to count on me, I think I was just too volatile at the time, too much chaos in my life to be a loyal friend. So I didn't know what was going on. It was a dizzying time. There were lawsuits after that for her medical bills, rightly understood. It wasn't just something that happened and then you get your cast off your hand and everything's back to normal. Both of us did make a full recovery, and I did end up meeting her and trying to be her friend as much as possible, although it's understandable that her parents would not be crazy about me. I just wanted to find out who this person was. So there was repercussions, and some of that was mid to long term. And I did learn my lesson. I was, as I mentioned, I was a fresh 19-year-old, and I do remember having a couple more benders. I don't know why, but I had a couple more benders after that. You know, a couple more party sessions to get it all out of my system, which was really stupid. What are you doing, Josh? You just almost killed yourself by drinking and riding. Can you just put a cork in it? But I do remember being a little bit more irresponsible, but I quickly shaped up. Again, I went through some rock bottom points in my life. I had to learn some hard lessons, and people had to give me some tough love, tell me the truth. So when I was 19, I stopped drinking and partying and got my life together. And it was more than drinking, though. I think drinking was a symptom. The wildness was a symptom of some kind of internal problem I had to really diagnose and fix. I mentioned the self-esteem issues, and I really had to fix it from the inside out and do it not superficially, but to the bone, deep, true, lasting. And that's what I did. And you know, finding faith in God was a huge part of that. That happened a couple of years later, but I'm glad I learned the lessons, but I just hated that I had to learn them so hardly. Is that a word? I had to learn. I don't like learning hard lessons, but I have learned a lot of lessons the hard way. That's what I mean. That bike was totaled. My dad, as I mentioned, he co-signed that bike for me. That's just one of many, many consequences. Many areas of pain is that, you know, my dad was responsible for this financially. We had to eat the loss. Just to give you an idea of how wild I was. I shouldn't say I couldn't be a friend. I was a good friend, and I cared about people, and I'm a high empathy guy. But that volatility in my life made me unpredictable and dangerous, at least to myself. And so it was something you had to be aware of. I think the main issue in my life right then, if you were to pinpoint what is the one symptom that shows an underlying problem, it wasn't the drinking. It was, I think it was this high time preference, this impulsive. I didn't care for tomorrow. People around me, I so admired them. They had career paths and ambition and goals, and they had the discipline and stability to take those goals seriously. And yeah, they would go out and have a drink and have fun too, but they always were at work the next day. They were never poisoning themselves with alcohol. They were just being responsible, and they were on track. And I wanted that agency so bad. I wanted to be in control of my life. I wanted to have the discipline to take my life seriously like that. I just couldn't. And that really manifested itself in this high time preference where I had to have the thing now. I couldn't have delayed gratification. It was no planning. Yeah, I would rack up a credit card. Who cares about tomorrow? I would hop on the bike and go fast illegally. Who cares about tomorrow? I would just do things that were impulsive, that showed no regard for the future. And that is the main thing I corrected. And I think maybe that pendulum swung too far, because now I'm very measured and calculated, and I treat my life with a desire for safety, and I'm not wild anymore. I do care about tomorrow. I can wait. I'm patient. I don't need the thing immediately. And I'm glad I made that change. But I think that was the main thing. I had a permit at the time. I never had my motorcycle endorsement, and the permit required 3 things. You had 3 restrictions: always wear a helmet, no passengers, and do not ride at night. Now, of course, I violated all 3 of those. Neither of us had a helmet on. We were riding at night, and well, it was a passenger. And I never had insurance on top of that. Despite all the bad things I did, I only walked away. They did suspend my license again. It was it was already suspended. I had it suspended earlier for speeding on the interstate, I-74, on the same bike. I finally got my license back in November of 1995. I mean, wow. I'm sure, I can't remember the details, but I'm sure if you were a close friend of mine, you probably had to drive me around. You know, I remember my dad being so upset with me. Son, you have a job. Now you placed a burden on us, and we've got to take you everywhere to your job and all that. So I was a pretty wild kid, man. That's why I say that the bike wreck was just a symbol and a symptom of who I was at the time. And all that stuff was from the inside out. That's the kind of change it required. I appreciate everybody in my life at that time who mourned me and who loved me and cared about me and gave me tough love and told me things I needed to hear. I don't think I understood at the time. As I said, dizzy, chaotic. When that kind of lifestyle is a pattern in your life, your judgment is impaired, whether you're physically sober or not. Your life judgment, how you live your life day to day when you wake up in the morning, it's just not sharp. You don't know where you are. So I couldn't understand what people were telling me, but I do understand now that I appreciate those people. So that's my story of how I wrecked the Honda CBR 600 F2, and how you should never drink and ride, and how you should focus on what's the underlying cause of these negative, chaotic symptoms in your life. I'm not gonna tell you how to fix them. I don't think I'm qualified, but I did fix mine. I want to share a little more about the girl in the back of my bike. I don't want to give her full name. I don't want to make it about her, but I'm deeply saddened to learn this year that she has passed away. I don't know the cause. She's not somebody I knew for 30 years. I knew her at the time of the accident for 30 seconds, and I tried to get to know her a little bit, just to say I'm sorry and I'm here for you, and that was it. I haven't spoken to this girl, in almost 30 years. And I saw we are Facebook friends. We became Facebook friends in 2024, right around the time of the anniversary of the accident, and we were chatting on Facebook Messenger about how are you, what's going on, married, kids, and both of us were happily married with children, and I said to her, I said I still hate it. I still hate what I put you through. And she made it so clear to me And I wasn't fishing for answers. I just wanted her to know that I'm deeply moved and sorry for what I did. And I care about you, you know. Some person I don't really know. I haven't known her for 30 years. I do care about her because we bonded through trauma, tragedy, and transformation. And she said, Josh, I have never held you responsible. I have never blamed you for that. I too was a stupid teenager who made a bad choice that day. And you're my friend forever. And that meant the world to me to hear that from her. This girl that I almost killed 30 years ago, you know, showing up on Facebook and saying that was awesome. And then it was, you know, about 14, 15 months later, 16 months later, earlier this year in January, I saw on her Facebook page, you know, that she had passed away, and she had passed away in July of July of 2025. So about 10 months after she reached out to me, and I didn't know it for 6 months or so. That is so. I'm sorry to make these episodes heavy, and this one in particular. I mean, this is really. I had a bond with this girl that I didn't know, and in a way, I mean, she experienced, the girl that I knew for like 30 seconds, something with me that nobody else has experienced, and no one else can even relate to it but her. She was there. It happened to her too. And I'm so sad about it still. She was 47 years old. I don't want to pry. I tried to ask a friend of hers, you know, what's going on here? This is very shocking. Was this expected? I never got a response. Again, I don't know how I'm treated. They probably don't even know about me. Who is this guy from 30 years ago? Maybe I don't want them to know because, you know, I was the bad boy. So God bless you, Missy. Rest in peace. Well, thanks for riding along. I'll see you next time.